I'll be the one by your side.
Hello, my name is Rick Quevedo and I'm the CEO of Desert View Family Counseling Services. And today I'm here with my special guest and old friend, Liza Gomez. Hi, Liza.
Hi, Rick.
How are you?
Thanks for having me. I'm really good.
Good, I'm glad you're here with me today.
Me too, I'm so glad.
And today, or actually this month, May, is Mental Health Awareness Month, and we're also going to be talking about Desert View's 7th annual Strides Against Suicide. And it's our annual 5K that we do here in the community, and we also do a candlelight vigil the night before. It's a very important event that we do every year, and we want to bring awareness to both mental health and to the awful tragedy of suicide. And so I've asked my friend Liza to be here today. Unfortunately, Liza lost her son to completed suicide recently, and I wish we were here doing and talking about something else. But I want to thank you so much for being here with me today.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for the honor of letting me come and talk about my sweet boy.
Yeah, and you know, Liza, the unique thing about, well, we were just talking earlier how mental health and suicide misses no family, no one. And for you, we've known each other for over 20 years. Tell us a little bit about your background.
Certainly. So professionally, just started with healthcare assistance program. I work for San Juan County. In 2019, started a behavioral health department and then opened a mental wellness resource center in downtown Farmington, across from the hospital, with the goal of helping people get connected to mental health services, behavioral health services, with the goal to get to a place of wellness. Get the help you need, get some therapy, get connected to if you need medication, and all the other things, services and resources that go along with folks that really have severe difficulties like housing and needing to sign up for medical assistance and just all the things that go along with those difficulties, the inability to follow through with difficult, complicated applications. And so it's basically navigating folks with those special needs to get to a place of wellness. And it takes a while
It really does.
to do that. So.
Yeah. Well, it's much needed, and you've always been so passionate about helping people, especially those in need. And the Wellness Center has just did wonderful things since it's opened. So we want to thank you for that. And the reason I asked about your history is because, like I said, mental health, misses no one. We're talking about just, I was explaining stuff in my own family. Every family that we know has something, and so can you tell us a little bit about RJ?
Truly, sure. So RJ, just a few years ago, was having some difficulty and figured, maybe he wants to talk to someone. So we found a counselor. We'd gone to a few places, found someone he was really comfortable with in Bloomfield. So he had already been seeing a counselor for at least 2 years, and he eventually decided he wanted to be on medication. He was just having trouble, staying focused, and he was already on ADD medication from a few years before that, but just the anxiety, and so he was diagnosed with anxiety, and really felt the need. He himself had incredible self-awareness and has asked for these things. With our guidance and talking with him and talking with his teachers and deciding what's the right path for him. So he was on anti-anxiety medication, really had a difficult time with COVID, with school and the isolation. And I think COVID period really was especially hard on him, and like it is with a lot of folks, and especially kids in general. That isolation was really hard on him. And he was alone all day, every day during school, and didn't have the interaction with students and his favorite teachers. And the activities,
The routine,
and
yeah.
just all the things that make your high school experience that much more special and fun and nurturing. So his father and I divorced in 2018. So we were sharing. So that's led to or added to the difficulty sharing custody. 1 week at Dad's, 1 week at Mom's, and he seemed to be doing okay with that. But he'd had a couple of really difficult situations relationship-wise with, his dad's family, and with me at my house. I was raising him on my own, and if chores didn't get done or if curfew wasn't met, then you have some struggles and some conversations and some hard conversations. And so he would seek refuge at Dad's, or if he was having trouble at Dad's and had trouble there, he would seek refuge at Mom's. And of course, always he was supported at both places. But he'd had just a couple of really, really rough weeks. He was in transition, moving into Dad's full time, and then moving out of Dad's, and faltering a little bit, figuring out his place. Should he go follow Dad wherever Dad was going to live, or should he move back with Mom with a lot of rules?
Right.
And I think he just wasn't sure what he needed to do. But he was, closing in on his end of his senior year. Pressure was on, but he was doing so great that year. This year, as a senior year, he was hitting it out of the park, getting A's. But he had a relationship, had broken up with a girlfriend. Who knows what the final reason was that he made his decision March 14th that morning. He decided to take his life, and I really believe it was a split decision. I don't know why. I don't know if anybody knows why. I may never know why.
Right.
But that decision, for whatever difficulty he was having for that moment, or if he was super mad or super sad, or whatever influenced that decision, it became a permanent decision.
Yeah.
It was a terrible, terrible day. So March 14th is a day in my, permanently etched in my head. And so it's not even 2 months, or is it 2 months now? Here, what day is today?
Not quite 2 months yet.
Yeah, so 2 months. And gosh, so much potential, so much to celebrate.
Good-looking kid. Yeah.
He was an incredible kid.
Yeah.
And I could tell you all about who he was, just in his sweetnesses and intelligence and talents. He leaves a hole in a whole bunch of spaces, in school, in the theater group, in the band, in our family, in the Boy Scouts family, in Junior Civitan family, in the Akeley family, at the Akeley sides. Very, very much missing him as well.
I can remember him doing something with the Civitans when he was small. Yeah, presenting something to Desert View or something. They were real young, so I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, he was a Civitan in training. He truly was
Yeah.
a servant in all kinds of ways. He had that servant mentality, and so I was hoping he would have I would leave that legacy with him that he can continue on. And just the community in general. People knew him. People knew who he was. He was quirky and fun and friendly and sweet and helpful. And he leaves a hole in a whole bunch of spaces.
I can't imagine. I think that's why this conversation is so important, because it's so easy to sit there and as you said, all these wonderful things about RJ, and that one thing about mental health, right? And some people experience mental health and it's at a range of 1, 2, or 3. And so the way we think is a little bit different. And so we can kind of maybe pause and deal with things. But when our mental health is at a 7, 8, or 9, and we don't have that ability to pause or to, think that things are going to be okay, or I can get through this, the way that we handle things or the way that we feel we need to handle things are completely different, and people don't understand that. People that don't understand mental health or don't understand where a person's at when they're at this point. I don't think that this is a quick choice that they make out of, selfishness or any of those things that, people say. It's a heartbreaking tragedy is what it is.
It really is. I think some folks really want to know that why, and in order to maybe try to understand, and I leave like a ... pause, because even if we ever came to know what his why was, it probably will not resonate to us as a valid reason of a why. In that thought process, folks that are having a mental health struggle isn't the same as a thought process for someone who doesn't have a mental health struggle. So
That's right.
it's very difficult to understand.
That's right.
But we have to be, educate ourselves, but also just be sensitive and understanding that just because we don't get it doesn't mean it's not valid.
Absolutely. And you said that he was very aware, and I commend him for the medication, because there are so many people that don't even want to try that. I tell people that we do medication management at our place, and medication isn't for everybody, but try it, and if there's something else that might work for you, try that too. And if it is medication, you might have to try 3 or 4 medications before you get it right, but medication can help. I'm a huge advocate for it, I've been on medication for 25 years, and you know what? It works. And so I'm a huge advocate for it,
Sure.
And so the fact that he was aware of that, I think that was very commendable, So
Yeah, it was an incredible thing, and I never even thought about it, as even a person aware of the industry, thinking, here's my 14-year-old saying, I want to try something.
Yeah, I shared with you I had chronic anxiety, my early 20s, mid 20s. You didn't talk about it back then. I don't think we knew what anxiety and depression was back then. I don't think there was a name for it back then.
I think that people had a different understanding of those behaviors or the results of the anxiety. So very very hard lesson to learn, of course, when you're dealing with it yourself, to think that you'll have to do that is not a terrible thing. And maybe it's a medication is something you do in the short term until you can get to a place where you feel like you can cope without it.
Yeah, you're right. For some people it is just a short period of time. For others it is a long period of time. I think the saddest and the hardest part is for those that are going through it, they're not sure that they're ever going to stop feeling this way. Worked with families for years, and you always hear that, I don't know that I'm ever going to feel better. I don't know that I'm ever going to stop feeling this way. You will, hopefully you will, but you don't know that.
Well, and it becomes the normal, and so when you start to feel better, you don't realize, there is something different that can be past this normal. And so depression and anxiety, all of those things, people overcome them in different ways. I mean, your diet, exercise,
absolutely,
therapy, faith,
natural strengths, you bet,
medication,
a
combination of any of them. So it comes to trying different things and doing some research, but you have to have that cognizance to be able to say, maybe I need to try this.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you've agreed to be our guest at our
Yes.
walk this year.
Yes.
And I was really hesitant to approach you because I thought, March wasn't that long ago.
Mm-hmm.
It really wasn't. And so this strength that you have, wow, where does that come from?
I don't know. People keep saying that, but I'm just tenacious, and if I could influence anybody to just pause before you want to try something, or talk to somebody, or talk to me, or call me, or call Rick, or if you're in that vulnerable place, let's just get the word out. Just support somebody. Let's give them a hug. Whatever it takes that someone says they need, let's do it. Let's give them that.
Yeah, and one of the things that we discussed is there's no support groups.
There is a grief support group or two, but there is not a support group specifically for someone who lost a loved one due to suicide.
Right.
And for me, in my early stages of grief, it seemed important that there is a distinction. It is, I think we should start something in the community.
I agree.
And I would love to help get that started, whatever that looks
Yeah.
like, and for however long it needs to be supported.
That's one of the reasons that we do the walk and the kind of like visual, because everyone there understands what the other's gone through, right? Not exactly, but to an extent.
Sure.
And so that conversation that happens, it's like I said, everybody understands each other. It's a comfort, and I think those that are there that are also struggling, I think the survivors are helping those that are there that are struggling.
The community. Grief needs community. It's very difficult to walk through grief by yourself.
Yeah.
It really is.
Absolutely.
It needs support. It needs other people. It needs community.
Well, we need you, and I'm just so glad that you sat down with me today, and you're so special, and so was RJ, and I'm just so glad that you're here with me today.
Thank you.
And looking forward to you being with us there on June 10th.
I am too. I'm very honored, and I need you, Rick, and I need Desert View,
there.
and I need the community.
We need you, and all these ideas that we've talked about. I think this is how these things happen.
Yeah.
So
it is.
Yeah, it is. So, and that candlelight vigil is such a special night. I've had one year we had a family show up when they had just lost their loved one 2 nights before, and they showed up. Their grief was so raw. They said they didn't know where else to go. They had heard about it in the paper. All they knew is everybody there knew what they were going through, and they just wanted to be with people that understood.
Love it.
And they, people bring pictures of their loved ones, and it was a really special evening. So I hope you can join us for that as well.
I would love to.
So,
yes,
yeah.
I would love to, and I will invite other folks too.
Absolutely.
Like RJ's theater class and band class. I know they are every day figuring this out.
Yeah.
So
another outlet for everyone to kind of work through their grief.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
So yeah. So well, thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
So okay. All right.
Appreciate it.
So our event will be our candlelight vigil will be June 9th at 7:30 at Berg Park at the Pavilion, and then our run will be June 10th. The park opens at 6:30. Registration starts at 7:30 at the Pavilion also. 5K walk and run for families, fur babies, and such an important event, as you can see, the things that we've talked about today. So thank you again, Lisa, and we look forward to seeing you at our event.
There's a